Hey there, Dr. Nicola Dellinger coming to you live today. And I wanted to talk about something that maybe is a little bit hard to talk about, which is this idea that chronic disease, an imbalance in our system or a dis-ease is actually maybe just something that is helping us to move through and let go of old patterns. When we are diagnosed or come into awareness that we've got something chronic going on in our body, what I've realized is that this is really, as much as anything, an opportunity to look at our old patterns in light of what is going on in our bodies and what is our body doing to let us know that there is a chronic imbalance and that there's maybe a pattern or a history, and maybe that's what we eat in a day, or maybe that's our relationships or how we relate to ourselves. I was talking with a friend earlier this morning about autoimmune disease and Hashimoto's specifically, and how, and she was asking about gluten and Hashimoto's, and I said, I think gluten, to avoid gluten is probably a good idea, but the reality of it is that no matter what you put into your body, if you are still being critical of yourself, if you are still being hard on yourself day in and day out, you're still attacking yourself, and then your body all of a sudden manifests an autoimmune disease, which means you are attacking your own immunity, which is supposed to protect you. So this is really, so it kind of, to me, doesn't make any sense to eat this pristine diet if we're still engaged in behaviors and patterns that ultimately don't serve us. But a lot of times we're not necessarily willing to look at those old patterns, or maybe we don't even know that we have them because they have become so incredibly ingrained into who we are, and that voice that maybe isn't so kind to ourselves is so deeply ingrained or has taken on the voice of me rather than this part of me, this protector part of me. And so it's really, really important to look at any sort of chronic disease diagnosis and really take that as an opportunity to maybe even retreat from daily life and look at where are the places in your life where everything kind of Tetrises, falls into place perfectly, and where are those places in your life where there's a little bit of a hitch in the giddy up, and are we willing to look at that and really make a change for the different? Are we willing to talk to ourselves differently? Are we willing to not push ourselves to the nth degree because we feel like we have to work to a certain level or to earn respect or that sort of thing, because this is really important when we're looking at chronic disease. The other thing I wanted to talk about, especially when somebody is newly diagnosed with chronic disease, is I think there can be a lot of panic in the person who's received the diagnosis, and then for the people who are in that circle of friends, there's a big coming together of, well, what can we do, and how do we fix this, and what treatment do we need, and let's get on Dr. Google and redo a bunch of research, which can be of benefit for sure. But really, what especially in that first week or two, when we realize that there's something going on in our system that we weren't expecting, that we take some time to be with ourselves and all of the different emotions that this brings up. And as we share our condition with the people in our community, in our circle, in our family, can they hold space for us to be in a healing space rather than, well, did you do this? And did you try this? And I've got the perfect doctor for you, or I've got the perfect referral, or, you've got to try, standing on your head at 4 o'clock in the morning, chanting this chant, and that will take care of it. Because there are infinite ways to access healing and deeper vitality, regardless of what that diagnosis is or was. And it's really important that we don't focus only on how do we make this go away before we've received the message of what's going on. I was working with somebody earlier today who's got some chronic pain, and we've been talking about the connection between her pain and her emotional body, and she's been very resistant because to admit that she's got some of her emotions and her stressors are connected in to her physical pain, for her was translating into it's all in your head, or there's nothing physiological going on. But in reality, when we were able to start putting those pieces together, it was a beautifully complicated strategy that her system came up with to keep her safe and to make her know that she's loved. But once we reveal that part, because it wasn't all of her, some of her doesn't want to have the pain at all, but there was this part of her that realized that holding on to the pain can actually get her kind of what she thought she needed. And so now that we know this part of her is in awareness, we can show up and tend to her in a totally different way. And her pain, as we were working together in my office today, actually lessened. It didn't go away, we're not going to try to pull it out or rip it out of the system. We're not trying to drop the security blanket before the kid is ready. It is a survival strategy that we really need. But I feel like getting anything chronic can be such a beautiful invitation to look at how we show up in our world, how deeply we are willing to take care of ourselves, and what can we do differently? What call to action does this have? Not so much around what modality or which provider is going to be the one to get rid of this thing, but how can we be in harmony with our system and with the deeper knowing of our body that's manifesting this imbalance, to point out something that we are doing repetitively that probably isn't serving our highest good. So hopefully this is helpful for you. So if you have been diagnosed with a chronic disease, let this be an invitation for you to take some time to really be with the deeper levels and all the different levels, and be with it in a curious sort of way, an exploratory sort of way, rather than a how do I fix this, how do I get rid of this. And then if you don't necessarily have a chronic issue that you're working with, but you have someone in your world, in your sphere, in your community that is working with that, can you be the person that creates a lot of space to ask, how are you? And not what can I do for you, but how can I be with you? So again, my name is Dr. Nicola Dellinger. I would love to talk to you more about this, and just please share in the comments below any kind of experiences that you might have had working with chronic disease, and any insights that maybe you or someone that you know have received when we can slow down, open our heart, and really look at what's going on as something that's happening for us rather than to us. Again, Dr. Nicola, look forward to connecting with you soon. Thanks so much for being here. Bye-bye.